So as I go reaching out with the left arm, I've got to feel that my head stays stable, and I'm using my body to move the club into this position, correct?
Exactly.
All right, so when we're looking at the follow through, right, one of the biggest causes for concern for a lot of players when they, let's say, run their own swing through an analysis would be looking at this stage of the swing, or when the club shaft is level with the ground. And one commonality that you see with a lot of poor ball strikers would be the fact that as that club does get level with the ground, we would see a big breakdown of the structure. This lead arm would be quite flexed, this lead wrist here would be quite cupped, and that trail arm would kind of look very bunched up like this, right?
Yeah.
And we call that what? The chicken wing.
I would pretty much call that a chicken wing. Yeah.
So, very common error we see with a lot of recreational golfers. And you've got a great drill here, which is really using the outcome. So for example, let's say a professional golfer would get themselves into this real nice structured position where the club shaft will be level with the ground, their body will be forward and extended. And you use a great drill with your players to give them a feeling of that, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If I'm going to get into a position that I'm all bunched up, let's say you're giving me a lesson, I'm all up in here, what would you get me to do from here?
Yep, so what I would actually get you to do is get back down to impact position. Okay?
Yep.
And then I'd actually get you to take your right hand off, all right, your true hand.
Yep.
All right, and then I'd just get you to extend all the way out as far as you can, as straight as you can. Perfect, there you go, good. And the key here is actually to keep looking at the golf ball.
Okay,
right? So
great.
you can see you've actually started to turn here with your lower half, which is really good. Then what I do is just reach with your right hand, try and get that back on the club.
Okay,
Awesome. All right. So you're really just trying to feel this position here. This is really what we're trying to get into at impact. If you watch any of the best players in the world, a nice big extension right the way through the golf ball, all right? So you can just do this like rehearsal, all right, just to get you into this position, all right? And then we're just really trying to take that into the full swing when we do it from there, all right?
So
It's almost like dry work if you like, all right? Then you can do this one at the house, and come back down, just try and implement it into the full shots from there.
Awesome, I love that. One of the things that I would assume that a lot of players kind of fall in the habit of doing when they just see a drill like this is they would just start going like that, right?
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
if we do that and I just move my lead arm out into that position, now, intuitively, when you ask me to do that, I actually use my body to pivot that.
Yes.
And one thing to note is that when I did use my body, the way that I felt is the golf club felt extremely light, right? So I'm just transporting that golf club into a position rather than moving my arm around my body, because if we were to then try and get my back arm onto the club, I can't reach.
Exactly, yeah. That's exactly the kind of point we're trying to work at here, is when you actually extend and try and reach with the right hand, it does force the hips to start to turn. We get that right foot coming up, and that's where we get that proper extension out with the arms there.
Mate, absolutely love it. So I use a very similar drill with a lot of players. I don't use a individual hand, but I love that for the fact that it also just encourages the movement of the pivot. And I'd actually say it's probably a better drill than what I do, because I tend to do this one here a lot, where I get the players feeling that the pelvis goes forward and up, and the arms, they actually really don't do much, right?
No.
And I feel like a huge misconception in the golf swing with a lot of players is that the golf swing motion is created through a lot of arm motion, right? They kind of fling these things back and through, but then you're just flailing around like an octopus and it's hard to make solid contact.
Spaghetti arms.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas a commonality with all the best players in the world, as we were talking about before, is that they tend to use the pivot of their body a lot more throughout the motion, correct?
Exactly, yes. I think a lot of times people forget, you know, if they are using the arms, okay, we're losing a lot of power as well. We want to try and utilize the big muscles, so that's where we get that rotation with the hips. The legs start to work a little bit better, and like you were saying, we get a bit more pivot in there as well. Just adds a little bit extra power. Should hopefully start to see the ball go.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I love it, right? So getting set up here, let's kind of run this through. Take the back hand off the club. Now put this behind the body, let it hang down. What would you reckon?
Just kind of let it hang to the side there. That's absolutely fine. So then we reach out with the left arm. Get that one nice and straight.
So as I go reaching out with the left arm, I've got to feel that my head stays stable, and I'm using my body to move the club into this position, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So once we get into that position, then we can reach back on with the right hand, and then we're into a pretty nice follow through from there. That's absolutely perfect. So we've got a nice turn, follow through with the arms, nice extension. Then after that, all we do is just turn up
Yeah.
We're in our full position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
I love that. So let's say that you have mapped this out with players. They've done a bit of a dry drill here. They're getting a feeling and a sensation of like, okay, this is that full extension. So the arms are extended. Now, would you then get them to go back into the address, then do that with 2 hands on?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So as you're getting back into that impact position, you just want to try and feel what that feels like. So as we're reaching back out, just trying to get into that solid foundation of where we are. Yeah, absolutely, good.
So you're almost trying to go, this is what it feels like with 1 hand. Then if I put 2 on, does that feel exactly the same?
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it should feel, yeah, it should start to feel a little bit more calm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can definitely feel a lot more body pivot through the golf ball. I feel like that's going to help a lot of players there. Now, let's say you've done that a couple of times. The common question that we get from players is like, okay, then how do I hit a golf ball? What do I do with that? Do I just stand up here and I go like that? Well, no, not really.
Not going to work.
Not going to work.
No.
So mapping it out, doing dry drills like you just said.
Yes.
Then, after we've got the feeling, let's say we use 1 hand, we can bring that right hand on, then we can do 2 hands. Then is it just a very small backswing chipping one down there?
Absolutely that, I was just going to say that. So from there, all we do is just do maybe like a half backswing, all right, and then actually just really exaggerate that follow through position that we just worked on, okay, and almost just hit some kind of little punchy shots just down the fairway there. Just
okay.
knock them down driving range.
So I've got an 8-iron in my hand. Let's say we're probably going to go about 60 or so meters here from the address.
Really just try and abbreviate the follow through. There you go. Good turn through there.
Let's do the 2 hands.
Perfect.
Okay, let's shift in. Little swing. Now, from this reference point for the players at home, would it be beneficial if they did film themselves from face on, right? They saw where the 1 hand and the 2 hand drill finished. They almost took a snapshot of that. Then they hit a little shot. They tried to hold that finish. And then compared the 2.
Absolutely. It's one of those ones you hear all the time. It's like feel versus real. So as you do it really slowly, obviously we can get into this nice position with ease, I would say. And then when we do it in real life, okay, and then we sort of video it, like you say, from face on, we'll be able to actually see if we've done exactly what we're looking to try and do. So it's just trying to make sure we pinpoint that.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I think that's an incredible drill that's going to help a lot of players, especially if they feel like at the moment of impact, the arms are breaking down, cupping the lead wrists, and they're struggling with their ball contact. Great work. Cheers.
Nice one, mate.